Hi, Matthew Lee from The Campaigner here, and I'm going to talk to you today about the game Reign. Now, Reign is a tactical multiplayer card game where players are lords or ladies of a kingdom and they are vying to take control of the throne or the Onyx Crown in order to be in charge. The game's broken up into four kinds of cards: the house cards, the event cards, the military cards, and the Onyx Crown. The two cards that are going to see the most use or the most frequent use throughout the game are the event cards and the military cards, because Reign has this dual use for the cards where you can use them to bid for, you use cards to bid for houses, but you also use military cards in your military. So it's a finite resource. There's a little bit of balancing act of, do I spend my cards to gain a house, or do I build a military? And it's not a one or the other equation. It's actually a kind of more fluid than that, because in most cases you're going to bid for a house and then you're going to need to negotiate diplomatically with the other players to try and get them to give you military cards to bolster your power. And then the idea is that you then reward them in some way. So this game is broken up into four phases: an influence phase, a plotting phase, a combat phase, and a regent phase. Now, each phase has a distinct action attributed to it. Influence phase is where you bid for houses, the backing of one of the houses of the kingdom. This is important because you need the backing of a house in order to claim the Onyx Crown. Also, the house that you back influences how well some of your troops perform in combat. After the influence phase, there is the plotting phase. Now, in the plotting phase, players can put cards into their military, or they can put cards into another player's military. Now, this is important because you might have been outbid for a house, so you are going to have to, in order to gain some points, back somebody who has a house who you think can win and claim the crown. But at the same time, you can also put cards into other people's armies or your own that are beneficial or detrimental, not just military. They're these event cards. Now, some of the event cards are positive ones or good ones, whereas some of them are betrayal cards, where they do negative things for whoever has them in their hand. So try and avoid playing that into your own hand, unless you have some dastardly plan. The combat phase follows after that, where players shuffle the cards and then show their military hand and then calculate the power of their military. This is done by checking the force statistic on the card, as well as any abilities that this card might have, and also add bonuses for the house or betrayal or event cards and that kind of thing. And then simply put, the player who has the best military and is backed by a house wins the Onyx Crown. Then the player with the Onyx Crown can award people who backed them military cards, but if they were given a betrayal card during their plotting phase, then they can decide not to give anybody any cards. I really like this approach because there's a nice two-hander feel to it, because you've got people building their military with cards. There's a kind of like a physical, mechanical feel to it, but then you've also got this kind of ethereal, diplomatic part where you have to be able to barter or bluff your opponents in order to try and get what you want, and they're doing the same to you. The game is 3 to 7 players, which, if this game has a downfall, I think kind of that's the only downfall it has, in that this game is fantastic when you've got over five players or over, but in 3 players, while it's serviceable, you don't get the same kind of anarchic interaction between all the players, of you trying to figure out who is best going to suit you, and cross-bartering across people. In 3 players, it's very easy for 2 players to kind of just get into a rut, and the third player to essentially be the black sheep and get nothing. Garage Games is working on a 2-player variant. Whether this fixes it up or not, I don't know. As it is, to get 5 to 7 players is going to be difficult for some people, or be difficult for some groups, which is a shame, because like this game really shines when you've got a ton of people just going at each other. Rain seems to be made to destroy friendships, which I think is great.